Good evening. Welcome to Loveworld USA News. I'm TGK Andre. First, let's take a quick look at the top stories this evening. China arrests 30 Christians tied to Zion Church network. Fears of wider crackdown grow. Bolton indicted in classified records probe as court keeps limit on National Guard in Chicago. The DOJ files first Antifa-related terrorism charges in Texas ICE facility attack. President Trump to meet Putin in Hungary, Zelensky at White House Friday. And President Trump says IVF drug prices to drop dramatically after negotiated discounts. And now to the news. Chinese authorities have detained at least 30 Christians in a coordinated sweep across more than 10 cities targeting the Zion Church House Church network, according to church representatives and rights advocates. Family members said a formal detention notice shows Zion's founder, Pastor Jin Mingri, is being held at Beihai No. 2 prison on suspicion of illegal use of information networks. Several detainees were released, but most remain in custody, church sources said. The arrests mark the largest nationwide action against unregistered churches in years and come amid tightening controls on religion, particularly online. Beijing has steadily expanded oversight through revised regulations and a campaign to synthesize faith groups, and in September limited online sermons to licensed organizations, a step widely seen as curbing house church live streams. While the government recognizes official Protestant and Catholic bodies, scholars estimate tens of millions worship outside those structures. Zion, founded in the mid-2000s, grew from a living room fellowship into a network of roughly 100 branches in 40 cities with more than 10,000 followers. After authorities shut its public venue in 2018 when the church refused to install surveillance cameras, Zion adopted a hybrid model of online services and small in-person meetings. The spokesperson for China's embassy said citizens enjoy freedom of religious belief in accordance with law, and that all groups must comply with regulations, while the foreign ministry has criticized outside commentary as interference in internal affairs. Advocacy groups called the detentions nationally synchronized and warned of further arrests, noting recent cases in which pastors and lay leaders were charged with fraud or tech-related offenses. Church supporters said past crackdowns forced congregations to adapt rather than disappear. Watch this.
As we know, this is the largest crackdown on a single unregistered house church in China in over 40 years. As you mentioned, Pastor Ezra Jin, along with 30 other pastors and associates of Zion Church, one of the largest churches throughout China, they have all been detained or disappeared. This is really something that we have to watch. And as you mentioned earlier, this is not happening in a vacuum. This is happening amidst an ongoing trade war between the US and China. We just saw China acting out by saying we're going to put an export ban on rare earth minerals, something that they walked back after President Trump said this is unacceptable.
Former National Security Advisor John Bolton has been charged in a federal investigation into potential mishandling of classified information, according to a person familiar with the case. The indictment, confirmed on condition of anonymity because it remains under seal, follows FBI searches in August of Bolton's Maryland home and his Washington office for records from his years in government service. Speaking to reporters in the Oval Office as the news emerged, President Donald Trump said he was unaware of the indictment and criticized his former aide, calling him a bad person. In a separate ruling tied to immigration enforcement in Illinois, a 3-judge panel of the 7th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals declined to lift the lower court order that temporarily bars the Trump administration from deploying National Guard troops to assist federal immigration officers in the Chicago area. The panel wrote that spirited, sustained, and occasionally violent actions by protesters did not amount to a danger of rebellion, justifying a deployment. U.S. District Judge April Perry issued the initial 2-week halt on October 9th, finding immigration enforcement was continuing despite demonstrations and that local and state police could address disruptions. The appeals court said the Guard could be federalized in Illinois, but not deployed under the current order. Let's take a look.
Bolton has been under investigation for alleged unlawful handling of classified information. Back in August, FBI agents executing search warrants on Bolton's Maryland home and Washington, D.C. office. According to court records, the agents found multiple documents labeled secret, confidential, and classified, including some about weapons of mass destruction. Sources previously said part of the Justice Department's investigation centers around notes that Bolton made to himself in an AOL email account, all about his activities when he was working for President Trump during his first term.
A federal grand jury has indicted 2 suspects on terrorism-related charges stemming from a July 4th ambush outside the Prairieland Detention Center in Alvarado, Texas. The indictment, unsealed Thursday, accuses Cameron Arnold and Zachary Evans of providing material support for terrorism, attempting to murder federal and assisting officers, and discharging firearms during the attempted murders. Investigators allege a group aligned with Antifa used fireworks as a diversion while vandalizing vehicles before opening fire with semi-automatic rifles as officers responded. According to the filing, one Alvarado police officer was struck in the neck but returned fire before the assailants fled when a rifle jammed. Authorities say at least 20 arrests connected to the incident and related networks have been made to date. Federal officials characterized the shooting as a planned, coordinated attack on law enforcement. The case follows a recent executive order that directed agencies to pursue terrorism designations and prosecutions for violent extremist activity linked to Antifa-aligned groups. Arnold and Evans are among 10 defendants previously charged in the wider plot, according to court documents. No trial date has been set. Watch this.
Director Caspatel dubbed the charges for the 4th of July ICE attack in Alvarado as first time ever, calling it the first time the DOJ has prosecuted someone for an Antifa-related terrorism charge.
I think the FBI director and the Justice Department have been trying to make it seem like somehow this prosecution relates to that designation, and it doesn't.
The indictment was unsealed Thursday. The ambush-style attack happened on the 4th of July at an ICE facility in Alvarado, south of Arlington. Cameron Arnold and Zachary Evans are named in the indictment and charged with providing material to support terrorism, attempted murder of a federal and assisting officer, and discharging firearms during attempted murders.
President Donald Trump said he will host Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House on Friday, then meet Russian President Vladimir Putin in Budapest in the coming weeks, casting both sessions as part of an effort to bring this inglorious war between Russia and Ukraine to an end. He added that senior U.S. advisors, led by the Secretary of State, will convene next week to prepare. Trump did not say whether the U.S. will provide Kyiv with long-range Tomahawk missiles, a top request that could expand Ukraine's ability to strike military and energy targets deep inside Russia. He indicated the agenda with Zelensky will include additional air defenses, such as Patriot systems, and broader economic and energy measures aimed at pressuring Moscow. The travel announcement followed one of Russia's largest recent overnight barrages, with missiles and drone strikes striking cities and energy infrastructures across Ukraine. Zelensky said hundreds of drones and dozens of missiles, many ballistics, hit multiple regions and accused Russia of double-tap tactics that target first responders and utility crews with cluster munitions. Kiev argues that longer-range capabilities and tighter sanctions are necessary to curb Russia's campaign against the power grid and to raise costs for the Kremlin. Moscow has warned that supplying such weapons risks dangerous escalation. No timeline was given for the Budapest meeting or for decisions on additional U.S. systems, but both sides signaled that the coming talks will focus on conditions for de-escalation and potential steps toward a ceasefire. Let's take a look.
President Putin congratulated President Trump for solving the conflict in Israel and Gaza and bringing peace back to the Middle East. He also thanked the First Lady for her efforts to bring back children and save children in this brutal conflict. And the president feels like great progress was made on this call. They also agreed to have a high-level senior staff meeting convened as early as next week, which will then be followed by a meeting very likely between President Trump and President Putin as well. They talked about Budapest as being a location for that. So as you all know, President Zelensky is coming to the White House tomorrow, so these discussions will continue. And frankly, I think the president deserves great credit. He literally just got off of a trip to the Middle East where historic peace and accomplishments, seeing the hostages return out of Gaza, these are major foreign policy accomplishments that so many people around the world thought could never be achieved. And so I think the president deserves a great deal of credit for doing that, coming home, dealing with so many domestic issues, and then again hopping on yet another call with President Putin and hosting President Zelensky again at the White House tomorrow to try to move the ball forward in peace and end this conflict in Russia and Ukraine.
The news will be back after this break. Don't go anywhere.
The angels of healing are operating right now angels of God moving around, and the healing grace and power of Jesus Christ is surging through your home right now.
Are you ready for this testimony?
This October, get yourself ready because a miracle is about to happen with you.
Welcome back. President Donald Trump has announced that his administration has secured steep discounts on key in vitro fertilization medications, predicting a dramatic cut in per cycle drug costs for patients. From the Oval Office, Trump said the changes would reduce the price of IVF drugs by an estimated 73% per cycle. IVF cycles typically cost $12,000 to $25,000 before medications, and many patients require multiple rounds. Drug costs are a major driver, but overall bills also include monitoring, anesthesia, and clinical fees. Experts caution total cycle costs will not fall as much as the medicines themselves. Trump said the administration will issue guidance allowing employers to offer fertility benefits as supplemental, standalone coverage outside major medical plans. The announcement stops short of Trump's 2024 campaign pledge to have IVF fully covered by insurance or the federal government. The Department of Energy has finalized a $1.6 billion loan guarantee to an American Electric Power subsidiary to replace and upgrade nearly 5,000 miles of transmission lines across Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Oklahoma, and West Virginia, aiming to boost grid reliability and capacity amid rising electricity demand from data centers and artificial intelligence. The financing, issued to AEP Transmission, is the first loan guarantee approved under the administration's newly renamed Energy Dominance Financing Program. The DOE said participating utilities must assure that the financial benefits are passed on to customers. AEP, which serves 5.6 million customers in 11 states, said the work will replace existing lines along current right-of-way with higher capacity conductors and estimates the project will create roughly 1,100 construction jobs. Energy Secretary Chris Wright said modernizing the grid will help keep power affordable and dependable for decades to come and position U.S. industry for growth. AEP CEO Bill Furman said the federal backing will lower financing costs, support reliability improvements, and free up capital for additional investments. Federal officials have rejected a mining company's offer for more than 6 million tons of coal beneath Utah's Monte La Salle National Forest, the third public lands coal sale in the West to collapse this month. The Interior Department said the sole bid, covering a 1.3 million ton tract offered at an October 1st auction and a 5 million ton expansion to an existing lease near the Skyline mine, did not meet fair market value requirements under the Mineral Leasing Act. The agency did not disclose the bid amount. The tracts were sought by a subsidiary of Wolverine Fuels, which operates several central Utah mines. The setback comes as the administration pushes to revive coal despite tepid demands from utilities shifting to cheaper natural gas and renewables. Earlier this month, the government rejected a single $186,000 bid, about 1/10 of a cent per ton, for a 167 million ton lease in southeastern Montana tied to the Spring Creek mine, and postponed an even larger 440 million ton sale near Wyoming's Antelope mine. The news continues after this break. Stay with us.
It's easy to set up, quick to start, and packed with value. Smarter streaming starts here with the Alpha TV Stick. Just plug and stream anytime, anywhere. Discover a curated lineup of content designed to inspire, live broadcasts and global events, inspirational films and series, children's programming, healing and teaching sessions, all on demand. With millions of downloads worldwide, the Alpha TV app is transforming lives across the globe. And now, we're on a mission to reach 1 billion downloads of the Alpha TV app, and you can be part of it. Join the global wave with 1 billion Alpha TV app downloads worldwide. Bring the higher life into every home. Order your Alpha TV Stick today and experience smarter streaming. Alpha, the higher life is here.
Welcome back. Indonesia will purchase at least 42 Chinese-made Chengdu J-10C fighter jets, its first major combat aircraft deal with a non-Western supplier. Indonesia told reporters the jets will be flying over Jakarta soon, while Finance Minister Purbaya Yuti Sadewa said more than $9 billion has been approved for the acquisition. The move is part of a broader push to modernize the armed forces and diversify procurement under President Prabowo Subianto's administration, which has pursued new systems and industrial partnerships across China, France, Russia, Turkey, and the United States. Indonesia finalized an order for 42 Dassault Rafales last year, with first deliveries expected in early 2026. Announced purchases of 2 French Scorpene Evolved submarines and 13 Thales ground control radars, and agreed with Turkey to buy 48 Khan fighters to be produced there for export to Indonesia. Pope Leo XIV has urged world leaders to confront global hunger, warning against indifference as conflicts and funding shortfalls strain relief efforts. Speaking at the UN Food and Agriculture Organization World Foods Day ceremony, which also marked FAO's 80th anniversary, he cited UN data about 673 million people do not eat enough each day. The Pope named wars in Ukraine and Gaza and cited crises in Haiti, Afghanistan, Mali, the Central African Republic, Yemen, and South Sudan. While condemning the use of hunger as a weapon of war, his appeal followed a similar warning in his encyclical last week, and comes as UN food agencies report deep funding gaps. The World Food Programme said in a report Wednesday that its financing has never been more challenged, attributing the shortfall largely to reduced contributions from top donors, including the United States and other Western partners. The WFP warned that 13.7 million recipients could slip into emergency levels of hunger, with Afghanistan, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Haiti, Somalia, South Sudan, and Sudan facing major disruptions. Now, just before we end the news, let's take a quick look at tomorrow's weather forecast. And to end the news today, a quick recap of the headlines. China arrests 30 Christians tied to the Zion Church network. Fears of wider crackdowns grow. John Bolton indicted in classified records probe as court keeps limit on the National Guard in Chicago. The DOJ files first Antifa-related terrorism charges in the Texas ICE facility attack. President Trump to meet Putin in Hungary, Zelensky at the White House on Friday. And President Trump says IVF drug prices to drop dramatically after negotiated discounts. And that's the news for today. Join us at the same time tomorrow for more. I'm TGK Andre. Good night, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.